So what I thought might be an unexciting month turned out to have a lot of updates from Gloomhaven. We've got a lot to talk about between Gloomhaven Digital, Frosthaven updates, which I'm thoroughly fond of, Gloomhaven getting novels. Before I dig in, remember, if you want to help us, like, subscribe, and let's just get into it. First, I want to just touch on Gloomhaven Digital. The Sun and Lightning class coming to it is actually really great. They've added cool new animations, hazardous terrain, and it just looks fantastic. And I really love it. I'm glad to see that some of the bugs are getting ironed out, and ultimately, it's just actually fun to play for the interim gap between some of those play sessions for Jaws of the Lion and waiting for Frosthaven. So if you haven't, please check it out. They're adding more stuff all the time, and we're getting 2 more classes before the end of the year. So one thing I really got excited about was the Gloomhaven novels. I think anyone who's jumped into Gloomhaven realizes, like, wow, this universe has so much lore to it. Reading some of the stuff, especially once you got into Forgotten Circles and realize that there's way more depth than just, hey, we need to beat some of these things and kill all enemies. And you start to ask more questions, like asking about the Harrowers, or like learning, like, wow, these Quattrals are actually pretty interesting individuals. Like, how did any of this, come to be? How did Gloomhaven start? And realizing that this whole world is more than just some outpost. They constantly talk about how this is some outpost on the edge of the world. Okay, so if it's so insignificant, what's the rest of the world like? And I was excited for the comic, because the comic's actually going to give us more from the city itself. Specifically the Jaws of the Lion and one of its prior members. The novels should give us more insight into the world, and if there's anything we love, it's world building. I personally am a big fan of people who can really do a great job world building, and I have ultimate faith in Isaac, who some of the stuff we've had on Reddit AMAs is veteran dungeon master, and it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of thought that's gone into this, and some of the plot points that I don't want to spoil that have not really been super developed in the Gloomhaven game actually go back. And so there's sometimes where you finish a question and go, well, where did that come from? How does this, what happened? All you get is the things that happen to you, like prosperity changes and you get some rewards. But what's the overall story of the world? And some of those might get touched on without spoiling too much. It's going to be great just to have some of that development. Oh shit, that's a loud wind. So I'm really excited to see what they do. And not only that, which authors. And I actually have no insight into who they're getting. Trust me, I asked. And some things they prefer to keep a lid on, and there's some things I'm excited about that I can't talk about, but I have literally no idea who's going to be writing these. So as soon as I find out, I'm going to post them here and you'll know. Just want to do a quick shout out to Mega Shield, Mad Scotsman, Weston, and Chase for supporting our channel. We're adding a tip jar. If you really do want to support us, please consider doing it. It really helps. God, it is f***ing cold. Frosthaven updates. So this is actually something that's pretty cool. I don't know how many people have caught up on the idea of building up Frosthaven as an outpost to unlock stuff. So instead of, unlocking items normally, you're going to have to build up and build buildings. And instead of just letting Gloomhaven prosper, you're going to have to build up during the summer events and prepare for the winter events. The winter events are very harsh, and there's going to be mechanics like threat and morale. We got some insight from Isaac recently, and it's something I actually wanted to talk about. But I really like the idea of actually feeling like you're having an impact. Like Jaws of the Lion, you actually had people who recognized you. You drew some events, and you got to see some recurring characters. And it almost felt like our group was integrated in the world a bit. And Gloomhaven felt a little more hands-off, which is fine. But some of the Frosthaven thing where you're feeling like we need to build up morale and defenses, because otherwise you start taking these hits. And from the looks of the events, you can start building up buildings to make your campaign better. Be like, boom, I've unlocked this. Don't want to spoil it. And then you realize that, hey, your highest level building needs to be destroyed because you didn't help the citizens and they came in and wrecked your stuff. And you're like, well, it's all that effort wasted. It is. So you have to balance, how much do we want to help the people of Frosthaven and how much do we want to take for ourselves? And I think some people will get a little bit more involved with the building up of Frosthaven than they did of just, hey, Gloomhaven prospered, yay. And having a more involved process, I think, will really help with kind of immersion into the setting, which is something I've always been a huge fan of. Something I've always been a huge fan of. So if there's one thing I'm very excited about is seeing how people choose to handle some of these, like there's a 50 threat. How are you dealing with this? And did you build up enough defenses? Because you get 15 scenarios before you have to draw your first winter card. Fantastic. So they don't just toss you into winter and say, screw you, prepare for the worst. You do get a bit of leeway on the very merciful summer events before you jump into the very harsh winter events. Masteries is something I'm actually hugely fond of. It almost comes off as like an achievement. So the example that he talked about for introducing mastery, you do something special, designed for your class, get a reward. So like the Necromancer he listed, have 6 minions out at once. And it's like, okay, that's kind of hard to do. I mean, I could immediately could see from the cards revealed, it's not necessarily very possible, but for those who don't have access to the full set of Necromancer cards, you can pull it off. It will require definitely some delicate work to pull that off. And then you get 15 bonus experience. That guy drives loudly. I'm actually not a fan of 15 experience. I think there should be maybe something. I agree that like saying like, hey, get a free perk might be, it depends on the class, because sometimes some classes get to this certain amount of perks and they're going, I'm good now. But just maybe something else I know like the solo scenarios gave you these cool solo items. It's literally snowing. God, it's not even December. So I was honestly thinking like maybe some bonus to enhance, because I think there's no person who's ever gone like, oh man, more enhancements. People love that. But not like, here, have a full enhancement of your choice. But here's some money or some reward to, like, you have a discount on an enhancement. It's something that people always want. And not everyone like, boom, 15 experience. I can see it, but ultimately, I'm only nitpicking on the reward. And I'd like to see what he has for the other masteries, like the Drifter, who sometimes you could actually have a bunch of active cards and play with it. And I wonder if there's going to be something about like consume a certain amount of charges in a turn, which seems like it would be particularly just fun to try to see if you can do that. Plus, given the fact that a lot of those charges turn normal actions into relatively strong actions, if you see how powerful can you make a turn, it's probably going to take a bit of effort to undo the damage from burning all those charges. But between that, the Banner Spear, and all these other fun classes, it'd be cool to see, here's a little bit of challenge while you're playing. You may or may not get it, but just keep this in mind. And that's one of the things I really like about this kind of design, is just giving some incentive to another thing to keep in mind. So you've got your personal quest. You're trying to figure out, here's how I retire. Your battle goal to try to say, like, man, I really want to optimize my battle deck. So here's this, and I've got this mastery. Between all these that are optional, the people who are focusing on all those may be a challenge, but it's ultimately optional. You're not going to miss 15 experience. Even then, if you didn't get an enhancement or a perk, it's not going to just completely break the game. So no matter what the reward is, as long as he keeps it on that level, I tell you, this one's loud. So as long as he keeps it on that kind of a reward level, I think I'll be pretty happy with it. Which class's mastery are you most excited to hear about? Let me know in the comments below. So if you've gotten this far, let me know, what are you most excited about coming up? What authors do you really hope that he got to say, hey, I'm writing a novel for you? Who do you want to see? What name do you just want to see? Like, boom, we've announced it. And when you see that name, you're going to be completely floored. Let us know. And I know I've got some of my own authors that I'm excited about, but I don't think any of them are going to be writing for Gloomhaven. But I'd like to see what kind of interests you guys have. And again, be sure to like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.